the insurance industry and working these particular types of claims, I don't see a gap in coverage for a need for firearm insurance. And moreover, I echo Leader Davidsmeyer's comments. Ultimately, I see this as kind of a penalty for those trying to exercise their Second Amendment rights.
That's State Representative Adam Niemerg during a House Gun Violence Prevention Committee hearing yesterday. It's a new committee that started up in Illinois, and they're hearing all kinds of different gun control measures. Welcome in. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. For those trying to keep score as to the latest and statuses of the various lawsuits against gun control in Illinois, not much movement anywhere, right? We've got the case out of the Southern District where Judge Stephen McGlynn said it's unconstitutional, but he held that. Still pending in the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. You got the Veramontes case still pending. You've got the Naperville case, the Beavis v. Naperville case still pending. And I appreciate you guys correcting me, the Snope case, not plural, Snope case that the U.S. Supreme Court didn't discuss in conference last week, but will discuss that Friday. We could find out Monday if they're going to act on that. And that's the case out of Maryland that deals with semi-automatic firearms being banned, similar to Illinois', but Illinois included a magazine ban as well. So which one's going to make it to the U.S. Supreme Court first? That's actually going to be taken up. I guess we shall see. But not much movement in those spaces. But there does seem to be more conversations about gun control in Illinois with this Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. Yesterday, they only had subject matter, which means they didn't advance anything. They're just discussing these things. But one bill in particular that State Representative Bob Morgan, Democrat out of Deerfield, he brought forward a measure that would increase what you have to pay when you transfer a firearm to somebody else in the state of Illinois. And he wants to use that to fund gun and firearm owner identification confiscations. Here's Representative Morgan.
Effectively, when you transfer your firearm, there's a fee. In 1992, we put into a fee for $2. That was the fee then. That is the fee now. We have not adjusted that for inflation, costs, et cetera. And one of the ideas here that I have Dave Feller here from Cook County Sheriff's Office, but one discussion that we've had is whether or not we can bring the resources necessary to really target the revocation of firearms for those whose FOID cards have been revoked. So what this would do is this would raise that transfer fee to $10. $4 of that, the way it's drafted, would be dedicated to the FTIP program. So this would be $4 specifically going to law enforcement throughout the state of Illinois to recover these firearms, again, that we should already be recovering. So we've got Connecticut charging $66, Nevada charging $25, Hawaii $16, New Jersey $15, and California $19. So we're really at the bottom. And when we talk about resources for law enforcement, I think straightforward question is whether we're getting those resources to law enforcement to do the job that we're charging them to do. That's what this legislation is about.
So again, it would increase the firearm transfer fee from $2 to $10, and using that extra funds to grant to law enforcement across the states to go out and revoke people's FOID cards who aren't in compliance and take their firearms or confiscate their firearms. A lot of debate about this. Again, they didn't advance it. It's just subject matter. They're just talking about it. But some of the for instance, one Republican representative, I believe it was C.D. Davidsmeyer, he talked about how most other states don't have a FOID card, a firearm owner identification card. Right. So they still have enforcement. When somebody breaks the law, they'll still, confiscate firearms, but they don't have this little trip up mechanism of the FOID card. I'll share with you a personal experience I had. The address on my driver's license, the Secretary of State didn't properly put in. When my FOID card had the address on it, state police sent me a letter and said, this isn't correct. If you don't correct this in X number of days, your FOID card is going to be revoked or suspended. And that was just a bureaucratic mess up, right? And I've heard countless stories from people out there of similar types of things where their FOID card's in jeopardy because of some bureaucratic slip up. So you've got this FOID card in Illinois that can trip you up to find yourself afoul with the law in Illinois. So C.D. Davidsmeyer, I believe it was talking about how, not most other states don't have this impediment to the individuals being able to exercise their Second Amendment rights. So this just seems like, a lot of extra layers of bureaucracy to fund unnecessarily, especially as we continuously hear that you've got tons of FOID cards that have been suspended or revoked, and police just aren't able to go out and do anything about it because they don't have the funds. Well, that's why Representative Morgan is trying to bring about raising more funds to do this. But Josh Witowski with an organization, Illinois Outdoor Resources, I believe that's what it is. He shared some of his opposition to this, and in particular saying that the FOID card may be found unconstitutional in the long run in the courts.
It's law enforcement. It should be law enforcement funding handling this particular issue that is before this committee currently. This is akin to charging drivers an extra fee to handle drunk driving enforcement. Law-abiding firearms owners engaging in legal transaction are being asked to pay extra to handle individuals who are not in compliance. The difference is driving isn't constitutionally protected, firearms ownership is. That's kind of the issue here. Additionally, we have a court case in Southern Illinois that has again found charging fees for the ability to possess firearms in one's own home is potentially unconstitutional. That's still working its way through.
And that was a case, Vivian Brown. That case has gone up and down the courts, and just we'll see if that gets back to the Illinois Supreme Court, which has already had the case twice. But Witowski's with the Illinois Federation for Outdoor Resources. All right, that's the organization he's with. Which, by the way, again, you can go to thecentersquare.com/Illinois and read this story. The Illinois bills would increase gun transfer fees and also investigate an insurance mandate. That's another bill that Morgan had in front of the Gun Violence Prevention Committee, where he says he wants a task force to look into the possibility of requiring individuals to have gun owners insurance. Here's what he had to say about that.
This would be like an insurance rider. We all have insurance in our home that you might have flooding insurance, which is kind of a rider on your underlying homeowner's insurance. Or you might have cybersecurity insurance for a small business.
And he went on to talk about how, listen, I mean, this isn't necessarily a strong marketplace, if a marketplace at all. There's all kinds of issues that they want to try to debate and discuss. It's going to have a makeup that the state representative says is balanced. You have some people who are versed in gun violence, and you have people who are versed in gun rights, and equal number of Republicans and Democrats and so forth. Witowski said that no, it's a lopsided makeup of the board. Morgan said he's willing to discuss that further and possibly change some things. But State Representative Adam Niemerg, who has a career in insurance, he said that this is something that is quite frankly just not needed and an impediment to some people exercising their fundamental rights.
And have a background in the insurance industry and working these particular types of claims, I don't see a gap in coverage for a need for firearm insurance. And moreover, I echo Leader Davidsmeyer's comments. Ultimately, I see this as kind of a penalty for those trying to exercise their Second Amendment rights.
Again, a lot more to come out of this committee while they continue to tackle different types of bills. Other bills remaining in the committee deal with safe storage, as they say, even having pediatricians discuss safe storage with their clientele. They haven't talked about those yet. I imagine they'll talk about those soon. Which ones they're actually going to advance and move forward with, we'll keep you posted here. All right, wake up each morning with us here with Illinois in Focus with the Center Square. Get the headlines at thecentersquare.com and find the podcast where you find podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus and you can connect that way.